How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another video. Today's a little bit of a slightly slower pace video. I'm just going to I've come down to my local range, which is at Wycombe Heights, and just going to be getting some practice in, because I can't remember the last time I actually committed some time aside to just practice. You should probably see my most recent videos. My chipping in my putting has been awful, so just going to use the chipping green and the putting green because it's free. And then I'm probably going to go to the range afterwards to do some irons and driver. I've also got a little surprise. I used to have one of these, but this is actually my granddad's old driver. So it's a Sumo, one of the Nike Sumo drivers, and it sounds incredible. So I'm going to be hitting that as well, just to get a bit of practice in. I'm also playing tomorrow as well, which will also be a practice round. I was going to film it, but I think I just need a round without filming, because it does take up a bit more time, just to get practice in, get a bit more dialed, and hopefully bring my score down, because I'm definitely not where I was a year or so ago. I want to be hitting single figures, so hopefully this will help. So anyway, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and enjoy the video. So yeah, guys, just wanted to give a bit of a voiceover onto this, as just going to be me chipping and putting and hitting irons, so it's not going to be hugely entertaining. So I just thought I'd give a bit of more insight into why I'm doing this and how I'm hitting each shot and what's going wrong. So yeah, starting with chipping, started with the 52, which is my go-to club from around the green here, and I normally do quite well with it. Other than a bump and run, which with like a 7-iron or 8-iron, which I probably should have practiced as well. I do tend to, I think the biggest mistake I make with my wedges, and you'll see with the more lofted wedges for these kind of shots, which I wouldn't generally hit, I do, yeah, that one went in, that was nice. Doesn't happen often. I do generally duff them. I think the next one I duff. Okay, not that one. But yeah, most of the more lofted wedges, I do really struggle with. And it's just a bit harder to be consistent with those. So yeah, from this kind of angle, I would generally use a 52 or a 7-iron, try and bump it run, especially if it is uphill. If it's downhill, I'd probably putt it, to be honest. Very inconsistent. Cool, so now moving on to 56. Again, sometimes I'd use this. Again, that's a point in example, fluff the first one. I would sometimes use this around the green. Generally, I'd use this for but another 10 yards away, just get a bit of spin on the ball, and it's just a little bit harder to judge the distance when the ball's pitching a bit close to the flag, I find anyway. And you can see the spread on these compared to the last one, quite a bit further away from the flag. And yeah, it's not my go-to, but I just thought I'd practice it, because that's the one thing when you're practicing different shots. There's no point just using the same club over and over and over again, because yeah, you'll be good with that club, but if there's something in the way, like, I don't know, just for extreme example, there's a tree or something, you can't go over it, you've got to go under it, you've got to know how to use a 7-iron as a bump and run, and that's really useful. And it's just a way of improving your game, really. And that's something I think I've not mastered, but at least I'm capable of doing that if I need to. So I think it's worth noting in this situation, I wouldn't normally use a 56, I would use a 52. So hence why the first lot of shots were a little bit better. I'm going to use 60 next, just to practice playing a club I wouldn't usually hit in a different situation, because that's good practice. So yeah, now moving on to 60 degree. I feel like this club, I used to absolutely love this club, and I feel like now I just use it in the wrong situations, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's not as new as it was when I first had it, so I don't think I'll get as much spin, and I've just got other wedges now that I use. That was terrible. So yeah, I don't really use it as much. I kind of only really use it in bunkers. Another blade there. Just because I prefer it. Getting the loft. Most of the bunkers I play out of are close to the pin. It's only on the rare occasion I'll have a bunker that's like 20-30 yards away that I need to use like a 56 on. And yeah, this 60's just been used and abused over the years. I definitely need to get it re-gripped, and the grooves aren't as spinny as they once were. So yeah, I mean, you can see this is even worse than the 56 in terms of getting it close. And it's just a smaller margin for error on clubs that have got more loft. So yeah, it's not my go-to. So again, in that situation, I would not use a 60, just because it's like 4 times I've bladed it over the back. I would normally use a 60 for a lofted shot, especially this was uphill, so I wouldn't normally use that. I'm going to use some putting. I do some putting now from off the green, just because sometimes that's something I would do. Okay, putting. I don't really putt off the green too much, I've got to be honest, because I mean, this is hardly off the green, but it's more so just for comparison, if anything, to chipping, which I think in the end actually worked out pretty consistent. So it's probably more of a sign that I should do that more often than not. I almost went in, that's close. But I've just been struggling with putting recently anyway, so yeah, I just need to, that's the thing I think I need to practice the most, because it's the short putts that I miss that are stupid, and they cost me like 5 or 6 strokes a round, which is why I think in most of the recent videos I've just been shooting higher than I should be, and yeah, I should be under 10 handicap really, because I have the distance and okay, yeah, the consistency with the irons isn't always there, but my putting's definitely what lets me down. And yeah, no excuses for that really. Should just be practicing, but I just don't have the time, I've got to be honest. So I just kind of practice when I'm on the course. So I think that shows that from that position, putting is actually probably a better option than playing a wedge, because you can't blade a putter. So now I'm going to do this drill, which I don't think I've actually ever done. Basically just one shot from equal distance around the hole. Obviously this hole it goes up and down. It's got downhill, uphill, right to left, left to right. So this is good practice. Yeah, so I've never done this before. I see it all the time with pros doing this from around the hole before tournament stuff, and I did actually find it quite useful. But again, at the same time, you are just practicing the same putt over and over again, so you kind of learn where to hit it. But at the same time, it was still useful to do, because I could figure out where my weaknesses were, and it's definitely downhill, right to left putts, because I missed those so many times. But yeah, putting is something that I really need to work on, and just reading greens and judging pace. I thought this putter was going to be better for me, and I seem to actually be putting worse with it now. At the start I was fine, but I don't know. Don't know what my excuse is for missing putts really. Makes it more entertaining for people at home though, so I guess that's a good thing. Okay, now I'm just going to do the ones I missed, which is the top half ones. So going downhill, obviously they're a little bit harder than going uphill. Uphills are fairly straightforward, but I'm sure I missed those quite a lot too on the course. But yeah, not much else to say really. Just enjoy me missing putts. I just want to say I am playing, hopefully this video is going to be up Wednesday or Thursday, and I am playing at the Shire this week. So I'm hoping that's going to be a bit more of a test because for some reason I think on just quicker greens, I just tend to underread everything on normal greens. So hopefully on quicker greens, I should be about right. But that will be a challenge. That's going to be out next week. Hopefully it's going to be good weather. It's meant to be getting warmer this week, so I'm looking forward to actually playing on a nice course in some good weather. It's been a while. It will be by far the most expensive course I've played on. I think it was 85 quid for a round on Friday. So fingers crossed I play well and it's not a waste of money. So moving on to irons and wedges now on the range. I was using TrackMan for this, and I'll show a screenshot at the end of all the average. I think it's carries or maybe even total yards for each club. You basically hit 6 shots and it takes the average just so you can get a feel. Obviously, bear in mind these are range balls, so they don't go as far. I think that's a fact that everyone knows. And I kind of kept forgetting that because I was thinking, oh, that's not right, because it definitely goes further than that. But you can see the increments go up and up equally. And I was actually swinging quite well on the range. So, yeah, it was good practice, and I was really sweaty at the end there. So you can see there, 108-yard average, which I think is the total yardage. So that's carry plus roll, which is about right, really. That's kind of what I'd hit. And yeah, happy with that. No complaints. Moving on to 56. I was hitting this one as well. One thing I've noticed, my 56 is actually a slightly longer shaft than my 52 and my 60. So the 56 actually goes pretty similar distance to my 52, just a bit, obviously, higher up in the air. So that's something I just need to remember to grip down on it. But I kind of like that it's longer, and I wish my other wedges were longer, because it feels a bit more like a normal club, and I am quite tall, so I do need a longer club. But there you go, yeah, 56, total yardage is 120, so not really getting in the gap that I wanted, and should be around 115. So I would prefer it. If it was a little bit shorter, it will be bang on 115, which is annoying, but can't really do much about that. 52, this is my favourite club by a long way, because just playing a wedge towards the green with this club is so satisfying. Can really get loads of spin on it. It's got a good back level of bounce on it, so get a nice divot. Always get good spin as well, approaching the green. So it's my go-to, even for like half chips. I'll tend to go for this just to keep the ball a bit lower. And yeah, the thing really, as you can see, it doesn't really go that much further than my 56. But in total, yeah, that's pretty much bang on what I'd expect for my 52 to go. It's just a shame about that 56 being a bit longer. So anyway, not much I can do about that. Moving on to P wedge. I don't really get along well with this club. Everything seems to go left, and you can't really see it on the camera, but everything had a nice draw in it, I'll put it that way. But it was pretty consistent, and I think it's just the way I'm swinging now that's caused that. But I was actually really consistent with this. I'll show you a screenshot in just a second where you can see there you go. So apart from the first 4, we're all bang on exactly the same yardage, apart from the last 2. But yeah, pretty consistent with that. Total carry and rollout was 139 yards. So that's actually no, it's probably about bang on what I would hit. So yeah, you can see it's good yardage, and it's pretty much exactly what I would assume. But that's what I'd assume the carry would be, given the difference with the range balls and normal balls. I think the total probably equals the carry if you take in the difference. So yeah, moving on to 9-iron. Again, pretty similar as P-wedge. Don't hit it great. It's just a shorter iron. I do prefer the slightly longer ones. But yeah, striking the ball well. Wasn't thing any or chunking any. So it felt good to actually hit some decent shots. 156 total average yardage with that. So it's pretty good. Pretty bang on the money. Eight iron, again, tends to always go left. I don't know why. When I played last at Aylesbury, always going left. And I don't really have an answer why. Just must be the way I'm swinging it. So that's one of the clubs I need to practice with. And you can see total average yardage is 160. That's probably a little bit less than I would like it. We should be around the 165, 168 mark. But in all, pretty good. Decent gaps. Just when we get to 7-iron, 6-iron, you can see I kind of screwed up some of the shots with the 6-iron, so it kind of fudged the figures a bit, because one I completely shanked, I think, and it went absolutely nowhere. So that kind of ruined the average figures. So I wish I could have taken that. But yeah, 7-iron, which I'm hitting now, is my favourite club by quite a long way. It's just a good yardage for me. So whenever I've got anything 170 in, I normally feel quite confident standing over it. And I don't know, sometimes duff it, but more often than not, it's a good shot. So yeah, total with that 175 yards. Again, that's what from using real balls, that's 175 carry is what I normally get. So again, take it with a pinch of salt being on the range. And then we move on to 6-iron, which is a club that I'm always in between clubs using a 6, because it's a yardage you don't normally find I use on the course that much. It's probably, out of all the clubs I have, is the one I use the least. I think that one I completely shanked, which was the one that threw the figures off there. But other than that, yeah, so I'll get along with it, just don't use it as much. So yeah, 171 total average yards, pretty standard. Should have been more than that. I would expect it to be about the 180, 185 mark for the total there, which obviously it wasn't. And then moving on to the longer iron. So 5-iron, I normally hit quite well. When you get to these kind of irons, especially with the irons I've got, the longer ones, they're fun to hit, but when you don't hit them well, it's painful, and yeah, it can go really wrong. So I think if you haven't seen my video about when I got the iron, showing you the 4-iron, it is literally like a butter knife. The 5-iron isn't that much thicker, but I think getting irons like this has forced me to play better. And be more consistent, rather than having a club that you can hit anywhere on the face and still go 80% of the distance. So 194 total average yards on my 5-iron, which is, yeah, about right. Probably I'd say slightly more. That's normally about 200 or 195 to 200 carry. So yeah, that's pretty spot on, given the difference with the range balls. And then yeah, 4-iron is, whenever I'm playing it on the course, it's always daunting to hit. Because you're normally hitting it a long way. I normally would carry this about 210, 215. So yeah, the risk of this club going wrong, there's normally always loads of bunkers and water involved in these shots, and off the tee, yeah, averagely consistent with it. It's not really something I like using, but just for the sake of conserving a score, I'd normally use it rather than using a 3-wood or something and just lay up on a 5 par 5 or something. So 195 average. Again, that's not, I think I cocked a couple other shots up, so that kind of brought the average down. But you can see the trend going up from the bottom. So that's, at least we know I'm hitting the clubs properly. It's just the longer irons that are a little bit less inconsistent. And then I moved straight on to 3-wood. I didn't bother with my 3 hybrid because I didn't quite have enough balls because I wanted to hit the driver at the end. Now, I actually smoked these off the tee, and I wish I could hit them like this on the course because it's always going left or right. I think the thing I do, I tee it up too high and it always comes off the toe on top. So that's something I'll try and stop doing, and slowing my swing down as well, because it's always tempting to just absolutely muller a 3-wood or a driver when really I don't need to. And yeah, so 256 total, that's probably about right. Yeah, about 240, 250 carry. I normally get to 260 roll total, so that's pretty much bang on. So I actually hit those all really well, and yeah, that's pretty spot on. And then moving on to driver, I've not been that consistent with my driver recently, and I haven't really enjoyed using it. I'm not sure what it is about it. I don't know. I used to like my old driver, and I'm going to use it at the end here where you can hear it because it is bonkers. But yeah, it's my driving. My driving is the most inconsistent part of my game by far. I just, looking at my swing, I just know I need to rotate more rather than using my arms. And it kind of shows in my driving on the course because it's so up, down, left, right, all over the place, and it's a bit demoralising, like that one. That one went pretty long along the floor the whole way, but similar figures to the 3-wood, which I don't know why. That was a mix of rubbish shots and good shots, and that's what's caused that. Right, this is the special feature of the episode with my old... Well, this is actually my granddad's club, but my old club that I used to have is exactly the same as this. This is a Nike squared... you know what, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's one of the Nike drivers from the time that obviously Tiger and everything was using all the Nike clubs. It was such an era for Nike, and I remember buying this, and it is ridiculously loud. Whether or not it will show on the camera or not, I don't quite know, but yeah, just sit back and enjoy these. Oh, sounds good, but it doesn't get that far. It's carrying 223 apparently. No, it's 56. Drive it is so loud. I almost felt to the point where I felt bad using that on the range. It was so loud. It just goes to show though that kind of drivers, however many years old, I got that when it was, I don't know, 2005 maybe, 2006. Nah, a bit after that maybe, 2008, 2009, I can't remember. And it just doesn't go anywhere compared to the newer drivers. Just goes to show, but wow, that was loud. Oh my God.